Whenever the original Sonic Adventure is brought up in a conversation, it is usually about how it's aged poorly over the years. Except today, I am here to tell you why Sonic Adventure has actually aged better than you may have thought. In fact, I think this game has a lot of things that the current Sonic games are in desperate need for. I believe that Sonic Adventure is a very good game that shall remain a classic. However, over the years, people have begun to change their position on the game. So today, I'm going to be defending Sonic Adventure. Remember that this is just my opinion. Please do not get upset. If you disagree, leave a comment telling me as to why. So make sure to kick your feet up, relax, watch the video. You guys know the drill. Let's begin with the story. When it comes to Sonic Adventure's story, it's very well done, and despite what others may say, this game is one of the few Sonic games that has a very charming and likable tone that doesn't feel too childish or serious. What sets Sonic Adventure apart from every other game in the series is something called character depth. You see, one of the most important things, and if not, the most important thing about a story is the characters. Sonic Adventure delivers big time with the personalities and themes of the characters that they have to offer. This is because you can play as all the main characters and they all have their own individual stories to go along with them. Each and every one of these stories are some of my personal favorites in the series, and I found myself being very invested in what these characters go through and what they will eventually become. I mean, come on guys, you can clearly see the amount of love and care that the writers put into these characters. As a kid, even if I couldn't really comprehend much of the story, it still meant a lot to me, and I loved it to death. However, now that I am a bit older, yeah, this aged like milk. How the characters are written and how they grow as people is still phenomenal, but when it comes to presentation delivery of lines, it's easy to tell that Sonic Adventure hasn't aged well here. I mean, we get hilariously bad cutscenes like this.
What? Tails? Watch out! You're gonna crash! Ah!
But you know what? I actually like these cutscenes. People make them out to be terrible, and yes, some of these cutscenes really are terrible, but there's something about these cutscenes. They have that 90s feel, and I find it charming. The main reason why I enjoy these cutscenes, though, is because they are written so well. The story isn't afraid to give these characters their own stories that actually are worth something. Sure, the cutscenes may not be as high quality as Sonic Forces cutscenes, but the difference from Sonic Forces and Sonic Adventure is that when I watch Sonic Adventure's cutscenes, the characters have emotion, thoughts, and feelings that carry weight in the story. Sonic Adventure's story makes me care about all of the characters. And you know the writers did a great job at this if I'm starting to see the charm in Big the Cat story. However, when I look at Sonic Forces, all I see is a bunch of characters that do not matter to the plot. There is no character development, and there is no bond between the other characters. There is no emotion. How am I supposed to care about classic Sonic and Tails' relationship if there is no development between the characters? There is nothing that I care about when it comes to their relationship, because it's just boring. This is the reason why, even with the bad presentation, that Sonic Adventure's cutscenes resonate with the viewer a lot more than Sonic Forces cutscenes. Sure, you can call it a hot take, but maybe you should play both games right after the other and you'll see what I mean. With that being said, this story is pretty good, so I'm going to give a quick summary and review of the story. Our story begins with an ancient Echidna tribe. The chief of the Echidna tribe has a daughter, and her name is Tikal. Tikal eventually befriended some Chow who lived at an altar who had a protector that goes by the name Chaos. These events come to a close when the chief of the Echidna clan comes to steal the Master Emerald for his own personal power. This causes Chaos to protect the Chow by absorbing the Emerald's power and then proceeds to wipe out the entire Echidna civilization. Tikal then seals her and Chaos into the Master Emerald to prevent any more destruction. We are still in the first paragraph. We are already getting into a giant creature genociding an entire civilization. You know what's the best part about this? That is good storytelling. I love the conflicts that these characters have, and best of all, Sonic Adventure has the bravery to take on a darker story without cowering out. You don't see Sonic Forces discussing these thought-provoking topics. Anyways, after all that, Eggman hears stories of Chaos, so he decides to go free Chaos from the Master Emerald. His motivation to do this is to use Chaos's power to wipe out the city of Station Square so that he can build Eggman Land. This leaves Knuckles, the last remaining Echidna, to go on a journey to piece back the Master Emerald. Meanwhile, Sonic encounters Chaos and pretty much wrecks him. The very next day, Tails crashes his plane on Emerald Coast. It's revealed that Tails is testing out a new power source for his plane. The power source is a Chaos Emerald. Tails asks Sonic to come with him to the workshop in the Mystic Ruins. This is when Sonic and Tails encounter Eggman, who informs him that he can make Chaos stronger by giving him the Chaos Emeralds. Each and every Chaos Emerald that Chaos absorbs, the more dangerous he gets. So this ends with Eggman stealing the emerald that Tails was using to power his plane. This pretty much sets up the plot. This plot has very high stakes, and Sonic knows the consequences that he could be facing if he doesn't prevent Chaos from obtaining all of the Chaos Emeralds. As the story progresses, the plot gets more and more intense. Anyways, if we fast forward a bit, everyone's story comes together on the egg carrier where Chaos has 6 of the 7 Chaos Emeralds. Sonic, Knuckles, and Big all fight and defeat Chaos once and for all. Everyone scatters since the ship comes crashing down. After the battle, Knuckles is able to successfully restore the Master Emerald to what it once was. However, during that, Sonic spots Dr. Eggman flying to his base. This is when Sonic decides to put a stop to all of Eggman's plans once and for all. This, at first, is to be seen as the end of the story. The Master Emerald is restored, Chaos is gone, and Eggman is defeated. However, this was just the silence before the storm. It is revealed that Chaos actually survived the egg carrier battle. This is when Chaos finds Eggman and attacks him. While Knuckles is returning to Angel Island with 6 of the 7 Chaos Emeralds, he wonders why Angel Island isn't floating. Knuckles assumes that the Chaos Emeralds have something to do with it, so he plans to ask Sonic for advice. But before he could do that, he sees Eggman, who is on the ground still suffering from his attack from Chaos. Knuckles walks over to investigate, and this is when Chaos attacks Knuckles and steals the 6 Chaos Emeralds. Sonic learns about this, so he comes to investigate. But while he's investigating, Sonic then falls in an unconscious state, I think. Basically, he learns about the history of the Echidna tribe and the dangers of what might happen if Chaos isn't stopped. After Sonic wakes up from whatever that was, Sonic then comes to the conclusion that he needs to find the last Chaos Emerald before Chaos does. Except it's already too late. Chaos found the last Chaos Emerald, and he is now Perfect Chaos. Perfect Chaos destroys the entirety of Station Square, and now it's up to Sonic to stop him. Sonic speaks with Tikal, who informs Sonic that he needs to put a stop to Chaos. This is when Sonic rejects and says that he is going to end the cycle, break the mold in other words. Sonic says that he's going to destroy all of the negativity that Chaos possesses. Finally, this is when it's revealed that Sonic can use all 7 of the already used Chaos Emeralds to become Super Sonic, because Chaos only took the negative energy from the Emeralds. Now, I made a video a while back where I gave mini reviews of the adventure games, and now I completely disagree with that video now, because I projected my thoughts in all of the wrong ways. It is strange that the plot device of Sonic being able to use the positive power of the Chaos Emeralds is never used again, but that criticism has more to do with the continuity of Sonic more than the actual plot of Sonic Adventure. This plot device is fine, and it shouldn't be criticized for something that is only bad in other games. Anyways, enough with those ramblings. Sonic becomes Super Sonic and has an amazing Super Sonic boss fight and defeats Perfect Chaos. After the fight, Chaos loses all of the hatred in his heart, and he begins ascending into the heavens with Tikal. Sonic has successfully broken the cycle that keeps repeating, and that concludes Sonic Adventure. Now, something you may have noticed is that I only mentioned 3 of the playable characters, that being Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. This is because the other 3, being Amy, Big, and Gamma, had no significance on the main plot at hand. You could take these 3 characters out and still have the same nail-biting experience of a plot. However, You most definitely should not overlook the stories that these characters share, because they are certainly far from bad. All three of these characters, yes, all three, have stories and themes that all say different things that involve life and morals. Despite what others may say, I believe taking away these three characters would hurt the game a lot more than help it. I'll go into further detail about all of the 6 main characters' stories when I talk about their gameplay, because I believe you can say a lot with the amount of care that these characters are being dealt with. Anyways, with that being said, Sonic Adventure's story, while not having the best presentation, is still a great experience, and is a lot better than anything we have gotten as of recent. And with that being said, let's head into the soundtrack. The soundtrack of Sonic Adventure is some of the best in the series in my opinion. The soundtrack that you can find in this game are all of the genres. Everywhere from Knuckles' official rap song, Unknown from ME, to a classic rock-styled music of Sonic's theme, It Doesn't Matter. This is what I personally enjoy about Sonic Adventure's soundtrack, because I, myself, am a lover of all types of music. So being able to hear a soundtrack that experiments with all different genres is a treat to me. As I previously stated, each character gets their own respective themes. These themes are absolute bangers, and they all fit with their characters very well. Finally, there is a song that's plastered everywhere on the game, Open Your Heart. Open Your Heart, in my opinion, is the best theme for a Sonic game. I mean, just listen to it. A common trend that I notice with the boss themes in this series is that the music makes you feel like you are the one that is the threat in a fight. Games like Sonic Adventure and Sonic Heroes capture this feeling perfectly, with just giving you a banger of a song that places the player in the dominant position of power. I love this because in Sonic Adventure, when you become Super Sonic, you actually feel powerful because of the emotions that the song displays. This is what makes Super Sonic boss fights so special in the Sonic series. It's very unique and it's an awesome way to conclude a game. Anyways, I'm going to conclude this segment with a list of my favorite songs from this game. Where do I begin? Sonic is the name of the game, and this game definitely delivers on capturing the feeling of Sonic. You see, with the jump into 3D, Sonic's design changed a lot more. Sonic now has green eyes, longer limbs, darker blue color, and longer quills. This change to Sonic was made so that he could fit better in a 3D environment, and I have to say, I absolutely love this design of Sonic. It is one of the most iconic designs out there, and anybody who looks at it already knows what they are looking at. I love how much this design contrasts with each other, from Sonic's green eyes to Sonic's red and white shoes to the golden buckles. You don't need me to give you a lesson on why his design is cool. You all are Sonic fans, you know why this guy looks cool. Anyways, other than that, Sonic's character is perfectly translated into 3D. Sonic's story in this game mainly focuses on the main plot of the story, and that is perfectly fine in my opinion. Sonic doesn't need character development. He can do just fine without character development. His character relies mostly on showing others the way of doing acts of good. That's all his character needs to be. Sonic is a symbol of hope. Now, let's get into the gameplay. I absolutely love Sonic's gameplay from Sonic Adventure. In Sonic's gameplay, you need to get to the end of the stage in the fastest amount of time while collecting rings and destroying enemies. This gameplay is very simple and easy to learn. In fact, anybody who is familiar with platformers but never really played a Sonic game before will have an easy time at getting to understand what Sonic's all about. Also, something I want to praise this game for is Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Gamma's gameplay having the best controls in the series. These controls are very responsive. It's not too tight while also not being too slippery. It also gives so much power of control to the player, which can utilize that a lot. The main thing is that when you jump, you actually feel like you're going to land wherever you plan on jumping to. You feel the perfect amount of weight in your jumps, which is something that Sonic hasn't been able to get right for a very long time. I think that Sonic from this game has the best Sonic gameplay and the best level design in the entire series. Before you attack me with your pitchforks, let me explain. With the rise and boost in gameplay mechanics like Sonic Lost World's run mechanic, fans just think that the adventure games are just too slow. Too slow? Oh, sit down, Jimmy, because there is far much more to learn. Sonic's main principle isn't having speed, it's earning speed. In the classics and the adventure games, you had to earn your speed through using manipulation of level design and gravity. Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 tackles the principle of having to earn speed perfectly. In Sonic Adventure, you have a lot of open level design that is filled with goodies, rings, and enemies to destroy. But since the levels are so open and have a lot of inclines, Sonic can use the spin dash to manipulate certain parts of the level. I mean, everybody knows about the spin dash jump that you can make at the beginning of Emerald Coast. It's just very popular. So when you say that you don't go fast in the adventure games, that's just untrue. In the adventure games, you are still faster than any other platformer on the market, and if you use the manipulation of level design, you can be even faster. But some of you may be saying, but Matthew, this wasn't intended to be a part of the original design of the game. It could be considered as abusing glitches. And all I have to say to that is, so? Who honestly cares? We obviously don't know what Sonic Team's original purpose of the level design was supposed to be. So even if the manipulation of level design that you can do was an accident, why does it even matter? And I wouldn't really call this a glitch. This is just playing the game normally. Most of these tricks aren't hard to do, and it doesn't take an Einstein to learn them. And every time I watch someone play this game, and I mean every single time, they pull out a new spin dash jump strategy that I never even knew about. This game has thousands of ways that you can use the spin dash and level design to get through the levels faster. This is what makes the game more special than most Sonic games. Everyone's experience is different. And a lot of people say that this game aged horribly. The cutscenes may have aged badly, but Sonic's gameplay actually gets better with age. This is the game that everyone points to when they want to prove that Sonic fans are just too nostalgic. Everyone says how this game is terrible and that it aged horribly, but Super Mario 64 is a masterpiece. And by the way, I'm not saying Super Mario 64 is a bad game, it's not. It's really an amazing game, but saying that Sonic Adventure has aged terribly and Super Mario 64 hasn't is just ignorant. Now, there are things to criticize this gameplay for. One thing is that it doesn't really have very good collision. Collision in this game can make you accidentally run up a wall or randomly fall off a wall. It can be annoying at times, but thankfully you won't run into many issues because this game doesn't have many linear and narrow paths to follow. So it's not as big of an issue as in other games. The last thing that I have to criticize this gameplay for is the light speed dash, because ironically, it's pretty slow. Thankfully, again, you only need to use this a few times in the game, and when you do need to use it, you can just do a spin dash jump over it instead. On that note, that is all that I have to say about the Sonic's gameplay. I think it's awesome. Now it's time for Tails. For anyone who's never experienced the adventure games, Tails is not this. Tails from Adventure 1 and 2 was the man, especially Adventure 1. Tails' story in this game is directly tied to Sonic's story. Do you remember how I was talking about how Sonic doesn't need character development and that he's a symbol of hope? Well, Tails is Sonic's sidekick, and we get to see a dynamic of somebody who looks up to Sonic and wants to be just like Sonic. Wanting to be somebody like Sonic is some massive shoes to fill. I mean, are you cool like Sonic? I don't see you single-handedly destroying an entire spaceship of robots. So as you can imagine, this can lower the self-esteem of Tails. However, after the battle on the egg carrier, Tails spots Eggman, who is trying to blow up Station Square with a missile since Chaos was defeated. The missile was a dud, so Eggman runs off to go find the missile and detonate it himself. Tails notices this, and he comes to the conclusion that he can't rely on Sonic for everything and that he needs to be independent. Especially in this dire situation where Sonic isn't around to be the hero. So Tails races Eggman and gets to the missile before him. Tails is obviously able to disarm the missile. This is when Eggman, with all attempts lost at destroying Station Square, he brings out a new weapon that he can now use to destroy Station Square with. Tails, with a new outlook on life, stands tall and brave against Eggman. After Tails beats Eggman, everyone in Station Square cheers for Tails. Tails looks around and realizes that he doesn't need to rely on Sonic anymore. He can now be independent. The story ends with Tails returning to Sonic with a lot more self-confidence. This is what we call character development. You never see that anymore. This is the beginning of many characters in this game who can show emotion and character growth. The characters feel alive, and this just goes to show that you can make a story targeted for children while tackling dark and deep topics. As a kid, I wasn't disturbed that I found out a whole civilization was wiped out by Chaos. I might have been if they literally showed Chaos killing them, but it didn't. Children know that death and negative topics exist, so quit hiding it from them. My favorite cartoon as a kid was Avatar: The Last Airbender. That show was great because it's not afraid to cover these topics. Anyways, enough about that. Let's get into the gameplay. Tails' gameplay consists of using Tails' flight abilities to beat Sonic to the end of the stage, while collecting as many rings as possible. Now, I just want to state how this is genius for Tails to be utilized like this. When you look at Tails' gameplay, you just get the feeling that Sonic Team knew exactly what they were doing with the manipulation of level design, because Tails is literally built off of it. Tails' gameplay is pretty fun in my opinion, and a hot take that I'm about to give is I actually prefer this gameplay over the mechs in Sonic Adventure 2. For one, a race in a Sonic game, that is just awesome. It's sad how much racing is overlooked in Sonic games. Sonic is built around the idea of going back and trying again on levels so you can get faster times. So where is all the racing in these games? I want to race my friends and embarrass them. Tails' gameplay is also very interesting because of the simple ability of flight. That is just awesome. Tails also just controls perfectly. I really don't understand how games in the future just fail at making controls this good. So Tails' gameplay is really good in this game, but there is still some things that can be fixed. One of the most common criticisms is that Tails' levels are just far too easy, and I have to agree 100%. So yeah, I would have liked it if his gameplay was a little bit harder. And another criticism that ties into that is the levels are just too short. I also have to agree with this. While the gameplay is awesome, the levels can be very short, and that is a little bit disappointing. But at least the levels are filled to brim with things to do, and there isn't a dull moment where you just run down an empty and linear path. It would have been nice to see Tails get the same treatment as Knuckles in the sequel. With Knuckles, they gave him a bunch of new levels with new level design that is based around how he plays in Sonic Adventure 1. But for Tails, instead of doing the same thing, they just kinda threw him in a mech. But I guess you can't have the best scenario in everything that plays out in this franchise. Anyways, my opinion is that Tails is awesome. Let's move on to Knuckles. Knuckles has always had a soft spot in my heart, and I really miss what his character used to be. Knuckles is the last remaining Echidna whose sole purpose is to guard the Master Emerald. Knuckles' story consists of him piecing back the Master Emerald while also questioning his purpose in the world. You see, Knuckles is an introvert that cares about the Master Emerald more than anything else. Knuckles lives a simple life, and just like how Knuckles states, maybe he doesn't need to know the origins of why he's guarding the Master Emerald. It's Knuckles' gift, but it's also his curse. I think I just stole that line from Spider-Man, But that's besides the point. And with that being said, Knuckles' gameplay is based on finding the Master Emerald pieces in the fastest amount of time. And this game came out around the time where Banjo-Kazooie was still in the back of everyone's mind. A fast-paced collectathon is genius, especially for Sonic. It's very fun and a lot of people love to master this gameplay. They could make a spin-off completely based off of this, and I would 100% buy that right away. Knuckles' gameplay is just a masterclass on how to make an engaging and great experience for the player. And this is the only character that I cannot really think of any criticisms for. I'm serious. I'm writing this script and I cannot think of any. What can I even say? What are you gonna say? That he's too slow? Nah, fam. You're too slow. Knuckles is very fast, and if you're skilled enough, you can complete the levels very fast. So I mean, you guys can go ahead and criticize this gameplay all you want in the comments, because I seriously want to see what you guys say. Anyways, that's Knuckles' gameplay, so let's move on to Amy. This is a controversial part of the video. Amy has been getting a lot of undeserved hate. A little too much in my opinion. I love Amy's character, she's one of my favorites right next to Sonic, and sometimes I like seeing her character on screen a lot more than Sonic. This is an example of a game where Amy is at her prime. I'm going to ask you a question. What is one of Amy's defining traits? If you said her empathy, you are exactly right. In every interpretation of Amy's character, she shows a lot of empathy. She is always helping the unfortunate, even if she knows that they are evil. Amy sees the good in all, and that is why I love her character. Amy in Sonic Adventure is still a crazy fangirl for Sonic, but that's not her whole personality. At the beginning of Amy's story, a bird comes flying down off of the egg carrier and it crashes into Amy's head. Shortly afterwards, one of Eggman's robots sees the bird in Amy's hand and then proceeds to chase after her. The robot's name is Zero, so that's what we're gonna be calling him. Amy runs off and tries to bring Sonic with her into Twinkle Park, but little did she know that Zero was actually following her. Zero captures her and the bird, and takes both of them to the egg carrier. Another robot that goes by E102 Gamma comes over to the cell and demands that Amy hands over the bird. Amy refuses. Gamma doesn't give up on demanding the bird, so then Amy uses her empathy to convince Gamma to let her free. After Amy reaches a personality inside of Gamma with the bird setting it into motion, Gamma lets her and the bird free. This is when Amy changes Gamma for the better. I absolutely love this interaction because Amy is able to be empathetic even for the characters that bring negativity to her. It also shows that her empathetic side helps the characters a lot for the better. I will talk about Gamma when we get to Gamma's section of the video, but I am happy that Amy is able to make such a big impact on the characters just by showing a simple act of empathy. Anyways, after that, Gamma and Sonic run into each other and are having a conflict. Sonic is about to attack Gamma, but that is when Amy gets in front of Sonic and tells him not to. Amy is willing to stand up to the person that she cares about most to protect someone that she sees good in. Now this is the stuff that I want to see in Sonic stories. We need to put our characters into difficult scenarios more often, and thankfully IDW Comics do that very well. After the battle at the egg carrier, Amy lands at Station Square where she sets out on a quest to find the bird's family. She heads over to the Mystic Ruins, and that is when she finds Eggman's base. Amy heads into Eggman's base, and Zero is there again. Amy is still very much afraid of Zero. After she escapes again, Amy remembers that the bird came from the egg carrier. So she returns to the egg carrier in hopes to find the bird's family. Once she makes it to the egg carrier, the bird is reunited with its family, but that is when Zero suddenly appears and attacks the bird. Amy, enraged, decides to stand up to her fears and fight Zero. After the fight is over, the birds live happily ever after, and Amy now lives on while trying to be the best that she can. And that was Amy's story. It's a great ride all the way through, and while it may not have as much significance to the plot at all, it's still a good enough story to include in the game. Without plots like Amy and Gamma, this game would be losing a lot of special traits that make this story stand out. Amy's story is far better than anything we've gotten for a long time as of recent, and it kinda makes me miss when Sonic games had a lot more thought put into the writing. But you've heard enough about me going on about this Pink Hedgehog story. Let's jump into the gameplay. Amy's gameplay consists of you running away from Zero while also trying to get to the end of the stage in the fastest amount of time. Amy isn't as fast as Tails, Knuckles, or Sonic, but her levels are still fast paced. However, the levels are slow enough that you can explore the level's environments and find cool secrets. I personally love her gameplay because even with Amy as well, there are still a lot of ways that you can improve how you get to the end of the stage faster. The more I play as Amy, the more I come to appreciate and enjoy her gameplay. However, I feel like her gameplay gets overlooked a lot more than it should, and right now I'm going to go over some of the criticisms. One of the most common criticisms is that she plays like Mario. First off, they're still pretty different, and second, isn't that a good thing? I mean, people use this criticism as if Mario's a bad gaming franchise, which is just not true. But jumping on to more comprehensible criticisms, one of the main criticisms is how she controls. And you're not completely wrong. It's not necessarily an issue with mapping controls, but more of an issue with what tricks you can do. For example, and I think we've all suffered from this one, Amy's jump with her hammer is super satisfying. But sometimes you feel like you have enough speed momentum to do it, but you actually don't. She just hits the ground and completely halts your speed. That is pretty much my main issue with her gameplay. Amy's normal jumps feel natural and great, but her Pico hammer just doesn't. I did get used to how she controls and now I'm really good with her, but she can be so much better in a new Sonic game. Amy with less clunky controls can make her gameplay some of the best in the series. Please bring Amy back. So that is Amy's gameplay. It's now time to move on to Gamma. E102 Gamma is a story that tackles what it's like to be an animal who is stuck inside of one of Eggman's robots. The story begins with Gamma being used as a weapon by Eggman. Eggman forces Gamma to beat E101 Beta. After that, E102 Gamma is introduced to the other robot models and they are set out on a mission to retrieve a frog who ate a Chaos Emerald. Eggman needs the Chaos Emerald so they can feed it to Chaos, and this begins Gamma's story. Gamma finds the frog and brings him back to Eggman. Eggman congratulates Gamma for finding the right frog. Eggman, happy for Gamma, sends Gamma to go grab a bird from Amy. This is when Amy and the bird try to convince Gamma that he doesn't need to do this. The bird gets up close to Gamma, and it reminds Gamma of what he used to be. This then sets forth such a great storyline. Gamma goes on a quest to destroy his other robot brothers so that he can free the animals inside of them. I cannot tell you how cool this story is. Gamma has gone rogue, man. This is probably my favorite side plot in any Sonic game because of just how it's structured. God, it sounds so good. Anyways, continuing the story, after Gamma sets free all the other robots, he goes to free the first robot that he fought, E101 Beta. After E101 Beta is defeated, he shoots Gamma before he dies. The final bird is released, except there's something strange about this one. It must have more significance to Gamma, just like the blue bird. Gamma, while injured, walks past the bird as pictures of something begins flashing. But then the picture becomes more clear, and the music stops. Gamma now remembers who they are and who these birds are. This is Gamma's family. This frees the final robot. Gamma is finally freed, and she flies back to the other bird. Of course, you already know the rest because of Amy's story. Amy brings her bird to the egg carrier, and then the family is completely reunited. We get to see Gamma go from an empty robot that does nothing but follow orders to a rebellious character who frees the unfortunate and then gets rewarded very well. Gamma's story is a great example on how to make a good story in Sonic. And to this day, everyone still remembers and loves Gamma for what he stands for. I think we all appreciate Gamma a lot, and I think Sonic Team should go back to see Gamma and find out why we enjoyed her story so much. But enough about that, let's head into the gameplay. In Gamma's gameplay, you shoot enemies that are in your way while trying to get to the end of the stage in the fastest amount of time. You are on a time limit, and to keep yourself from running out of time, you can chain enemies together while shooting to gain more time. With that being said, Gamma's gameplay is also pretty good. Again, it's fast-paced and it brings something new to the table. A frequent debate is whether Gamma or the mech stages from Sonic Adventure 2 is better. Now, this is a very hard debate to come to terms with because there are pros and cons to both gameplays. However, I think I like Gamma's gameplay just a little bit more because of how open the level design is. Sure, you can't really manipulate the level design to be in your favor, but it still feels more free. I really appreciate the level design like this because I don't feel like I'm trapped on a very linear path. However, the criticisms of Gamma's gameplay mainly fall into the boss fights. And I think it's about time that I talk about boss fights as a whole, because boss fights in this game are complicated. If the boss fight is Chaos, Zeta, Beta, and some fights with Eggman, then it's probably really good. However, if it's a character battle, which means that you're going to be fighting off another playable character, it's probably hot garbage. I don't know why, but the playable character boss fights are way too easy and they can be memed to death. In conclusion, I think Gamma is pretty well done, and now it's time to talk about the character that you've all been waiting for. Big the Cat. Big the Cat! He kinda exists. You see, Big has almost no significance on the main plot besides his pet frog, Froggy. And Froggy ate one of the Chaos Emeralds. Big's story consists of Big searching for his best friend Froggy who went missing. After the fight on the egg carrier, him and Froggy live happily ever after. Now, this character is mostly used as comedic relief. However, there is some interesting writing to put in this character. You see, Big the Cat lives alone in a forest with his best friend Froggy, and all they want to do is fish. It's more of a story about loyalty and simplicity. Big doesn't need anything fancy. He doesn't need to prove himself to anyone or achieve any goals. He just wants to live in a forest alone with his best friend and fish every day. Like, bro, just let the dude fish. I mean, is there anything wrong with just wanting a simple life? There's also the storyline of Big being very loyal to Froggy, and then eventually at the end, Froggy also being loyal to Big. There is no one that Big values more than Froggy. It's very simple and it's kind of charming. And yes, it's still nothing that'll blow your socks off. It's certainly not any Breaking Bad, but I don't know, man. I'm starting to unironically enjoy Big as a character. However, something I still don't unironically enjoy is the gameplay. In Big's gameplay, you fish. I praise this game up and down, but I cannot praise Big's gameplay that much. The only thing that I can praise it for is that once you get the swimming upgrade, the levels only take 30 seconds. Yes, that means the only thing I can praise this gameplay for is the fact that it can be over faster. This part of the game is definitely the least fun. And there isn't much to say about Big the Cat. I mean, he's the worst part of the game. What do you expect me to say? However, I do kind of like the charm that his story brings to the table. And honestly, if the game didn't have it, it would feel a little bit different. Big the Cat just sucks. One thing that I love about this game is the hub worlds. The hub worlds have a lot of NPCs that you can talk to that all have unique dialogue that actually changes as the game progresses. And another thing is that Sonic Adventure may not have as much variety in their hub worlds as, say, Sonic Unleashed, but the hub worlds are much bigger and your speed isn't slow. You can actually run, spin dash, homing attack anywhere you want. This is exactly how hub worlds should be handled, except with a minimap. There's also the issue of having troubles finding where to go. Of course, if you've played through this game before, you know exactly where to go, but on your first time, it can be pretty hard and annoying. However, something that's upsetting is instead of giving us a better hint system or maybe giving us a mini-map with waypoints, Sonic Team just decides to take it out in the next game, which is very sad. The last time hub worlds appear in Sonic game is Sonic Unleashed, and sadly, I don't see them returning anytime soon. Which is a real shame because I really enjoyed exploring these places and talking to NPCs. Well, again, I guess you can't expect the best scenarios to play out. And before I end off this section of the video, I should probably mention the Chow Garden. In the Chow Garden, you can raise your Chow into different types of Chow. Think of this as a card collecting game, except you have to level up your cards to evolve them into whatever you want. There's a lot more that goes into it, like Neutral, Hero, and Dark Chow, but this isn't the video for that. The Chow Garden is great in this game. Except if you're looking for a great Chow Garden experience, just play Sonic Adventure 2 because Sonic Adventure 2's Chao Garden is superior in every single way. With that being said, that concludes world building. For this section of the video, I want to hand off the video to a fellow content creator. And don't worry, this content creator isn't a terrible one that will send you into a narcosis state. So, I present to you X-Pool.
So when it comes to talking about Sonic Adventure DX and how it makes me want to end it all, we have to start at the beginning. In 2001, Sega discontinued production of the Sega Dreamcast and ceased production of future games. The final two big games on the platform were Sonic Adventure 2 and Puyo Pop Fever. However, this obviously didn't mean the end for Sega in the console space. Sega originally wanted to make Dreamcast games backwards compatible on the Xbox, but nobody wants Dreamcast games playable on Xbox. I don't even think the Dreamcast itself wanted to be backwards compatible on the Xbox. After that flopped, Sega re-released a bunch of their games to modern consoles. This included the Sonic Adventure games, which were re-released as the Nintendo GameCube exclusives. This was mind-blowing to almost everyone at the time. Sonic on a Nintendo console? Yeah, who could forget the days when Sonic on a Nintendo platform was unheard of? I was a sperm cell. The first of these games to be re-released was, strangely enough, Sonic Adventure 2. Yeah, it comes with a new battle mode and some changes to the cutscenes to keep me up at night, but who cares about that? Where's the plastic surgery? Ah, there it is. Sonic Adventure DX Director's Cut was released on June 8th, 2003, just in time for National Cheesecake Day. The port had some pretty neat features not found in the original game. The game's framerate has been doubled, giving you a far smoother experience. It also comes with the ability to skip the cutscenes, which makes my day already. We have a new mode in the form of missions. Missions are simple tasks that you can do around the hub world, and completing a certain amount of them gives you an emblem. Speaking of emblems, unlocking a certain amount of them allows you to play some Sonic titles from the Sega Game Gear. Most of the cast has seen a redesign to make them look more like their designs from Sonic Adventure 2. While I'm not personally a fan of these models, I can certainly see why people like them. Now you're probably thinking, I'm saying all this great stuff that was added in DX, why does it make me want to end it all? Well, that's where everything else comes in. The visuals are and have always been stupid. It's like if Sega looked at this perfectly fine, realistic art style from the original game that they could easily improve upon because of the slightly more powerful consoles, and pulled a Spider-Man remastered on us. The game's original lighting engine has been absolutely slaughtered, making everything have this strange shine to them. The textures look far less realistic and look more like a Disney Junior cartoon. And on top of that, some of the textures don't even load properly at all. Look at this. This is Casinopolis from the original Dreamcast version. You see how the light shines from the bathroom above the sewers? Now this is DX. I thought this was a mat when I was younger. There are also a few bugs introduced to this version of the game. You know that infamous bug where you click through the wall in Emerald Coast that helped ruin Sonic Adventure's reputation? That wasn't in the original version. And all these issues just got worse and worse as the game kept getting ported. What you're seeing right now is the Steam version of the game, which is a port of the Xbox Live Arcade version, which is a port of the original PC version of the game, which is a port of the GameCube version of the game, which is a port of the Dreamcast original. Why? All that aside though, the core game in itself is still 100% playable and is still a fantastic game. But it's incredibly depressing knowing that the DX version of the game is a way that a majority of people played Adventure for the first time, including myself. The original Dreamcast version has never been officially ported to anything outside of the Dreamcast itself. Sega and M2 promised to bring a bunch of Dreamcast games to their Sega Ages line for the Nintendo Switch, but that was short-lived and probably would have featured the DX version of the game anyway. All in all, the moral of the story is, always mod your games.
And that was X-Pool. You can find his channel links down below. And with that being said, you should most definitely mod your game. There are plenty of graphical enhancement mods that you can give to the game to make it a more appealing experience, but the main two that you want to keep your eyes on is the Dreamcast conversion mod and the SADX Lantern Engine mod. This mod converts your director's cut visuals into the Dreamcast visuals, and it makes everything look 10 times better. Now this part is optional, but I do recommend you do this if you are a perfect human being like myself. You could include the original Dreamcast models with these mods as well. It's really just a choice up to you based on your preferences and aesthetics. If you want to know how to install the mods or what mods you should install, I will link a video down below that explains everything. Anyways, that concludes what Sonic Adventure Director's Cut is. Sonic Adventure Director's Cut was my first Sonic game ever, but more importantly, it was my first video game ever. Playing this game set a bar for every other game that I've ever played. Before you say that I'm just blindly supporting a game for nostalgic reasons, I have plenty of games I used to enjoy as a kid, but when I go back to now, I realize that I just don't like the game as much as I used to. I still feel nostalgic for those games, but it doesn't really help the fact that I'm not having fun while playing those games. But with Sonic Adventure, every time I go back to play this game, I notice something else that makes me appreciate the game even more. The setting, the world, the characters, the music, the story, and all the levels just have this feeling of charm. This story makes all of the characters actually matter, and it caters to all audiences. I mean, I think this game is so charming that I literally stole the Dreamcast Sonic model and now I'm using it as my channel icon. With that being said, Sonic Adventure is a gem of the gaming industry that has a unique style of gameplay that makes everyone's experience different. This game has the courage to explore the inner thoughts and the character development of the cast that we have all come to know and love. Sonic Adventure, while not aging the best in its cutscenes, will forever be remembered by many people as a charming and immersive game. This was Sonic Adventure. So that was just my Sonic Adventure video. I hope you guys enjoyed. It took a lot of work and it's currently about 4:14 in the morning. I just finished editing. I'm doing my final discussion thing, my sit down rambling. I don't know what you want to call this. I just need to get out all this stuff for the video. So I'm sorry if I'm not functioning right. I'm at 2% battery, so just bear with me. I'm sorry that this review took a while to come out. The next review will probably take a long time to come out as well. It's just that February was a very bittersweet month. The channel was doing great, but everything else kind of wasn't. My family was going through a hard time, and I had to juggle school while staying consistent with the channel. And actually, right after I get done with this video, I'm probably going to use my break day to go catch up on some assignments so I don't fail. But you guys are awesome. Thank you for so much of the support that you've given me. We reached 5,000 subscribers. That is so crazy, guys. We were just at 1K at the beginning of January. Now we are heading into the road to 10,000 subscribers. And for the 10,000 subscriber video, I've already started working on it. I've been working on it since 1K because I've just been gathering information, I guess you could say. So if you aren't subscribed, make sure to hit subscribe with post notifications on. Make sure to drop a like as well. I mean, it helps the channel out a lot when you do that, and trust me, it actually does. Anyways, guys, I wanted to list off my channel members. They are the Loganator, Golden Sonic, Scape, 10, Sonic Pip, Aries02, and Sonic Fan. You guys are so cool. You guys support me a lot, especially in moments like this. You guys help a lot. I'm sorry, I'm still functioning on 2% battery. You guys are the GOATs. Shout out to you guys. You guys make this channel possible. If you want to talk to me or just learn about my opinions about the franchise, make sure to follow me on Twitter. The link is down below. I'm pretty active over there. You come talk to me. Come on. Twitter's fun. And finally, make sure to join the Discord server down below. If you are an artist, you better join because we love seeing what you guys create. Come drop some of your art down below and we'll give some positive feedback. And if you're not an artist, you can still join because the text channels are pretty active pretty much all day. It's kind of crazy. But if you're not much for text channels or art, you can join the voice channels and talk to some of the awesome people there. I even pop into the voice channels from time to time. So if you want to talk to me or some other awesome people, make sure to join the Discord server down below. I love you guys a lot. Thank you so much for the recent support. Adios.